up. I like this new song, impromptu interview. Where one person decides because of medical reasons they can't make it. There's always a warrior, a leader, and an awesome individual who's ready to jump in, fill the space. So, as we move on and start talking, let's make sure we discuss a few things. First, I think I'm going to be the one interviewed mostly.
Most definitely.
So, hello everybody. KJ Studios, my man. Oh man, is it played out to go? Hey, Ron.
Oh my gosh. No, I don't like it. But,
Okay.
but it's all right.
No. It's absolutely not all right.
Add some spice to it.
Because, when I retired, I went from chief to nothing.
Right.
Right. And you actually outrank me now. So, no, it's pretty awesome. So why don't you introduce yourself real quick, and then we can roll into whatever questions you want to ask me. And I figured I might ask you some. And I know there's some admin work that we got to get out of the way first, right?
Right.
So let's make sure I'm very clear, because I am retired and I'm part of the True Blue ID crew. And this young man is not. That any thoughts, opinions, discussions expressed by him are not endorsed by the Air Force. However, they are his own opinions. And whatever I say, shit. It's just what's in my head, right?
Right, right.
Anyways, so please, sir, without further ado, cool. Let him have it.
I'm not sure if I'm making eye contact.
Yeah, that's your audience right
cool.
there.
Aaron Carrington, or Airman Carrington, from South Central Los Angeles, 26 years old, single, and really trying to find my way through life. Still.
I like it.
Loving it, but still trying to find my way
like
through
it.
life. Yeah.
So you feel a little nervous and stuff like that?
As of right now, yes, I am.
Yes, all right.
It's still new. I've done it before, but it's still new.
Okay, so let's get you nice and relaxed a little bit, right? So you said South Central, right?
Yes, sir.
That's home. So when I think of that, honestly, I'm a food guy, because you can tell with my one pack ab, Roscoe's.
Oh yeah, Roscoe's chicken and waffle.
Good, right?
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir. That's a staple.
So do you know? Guess who was just at Roscoe's?
You?
No.
Oh.
These nuts. Got him. Got him.
Definitely wasn't ready for that. Definitely wasn't ready for that.
Oh.
Definitely wasn't ready.
Whoa.
Okay.
Whoa.
It's a funny story about him now.
Yeah, let's hear it, because I see him on the strip all the time.
Really?
Yeah. The last news article that came out, he got beat up by someone out there. He got knocked out.
Yeah, he'd be acting crazy. But it was not even really funny. But he used to live in the same apartment buildings that my girlfriend's mom is in charge of the managerial stuff.
Really?
And yeah.
In South Central?
Mm-hmm. I think that was
Holy
in Compton.
smokes. Compton.
Mm-hmm.
So is South Central is like, I know Compton. I can
That's
think of
part of
Compton,
South Central.
Inglewood.
Mhm.
That's all.
Compton. You have L.A., Inglewood, Watts.
Okay.
Watts, right?
Okay. Rolling 60s.
Oh, yeah.
All those folks out there,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Pyru Love and all
Yes,
that.
sir. That's Compton.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
Compton and Carson.
I think I've listened to a few of those songs
Pyru
here and
Love.
there. Yeah, especially when you see me in the weight room trying to get up that heavy weight. I'm like, man, this BGs ain't working. I need to put some thug stuff in.
That brings back memories, though, man.
Okay. See, are you a little loose now? Relax.
A little
right?
bit. I mean, when you always talk about home, man, like this, that gets me to a comfortable point.
Oh man, your home is right down the way, but I think you got a long ways to go. But let's be honest, that is not why you called me here today.
Right.
And today is all about some quid pro quo, meaning
Okay.
I may not be the one asking all the questions.
Uh-huh.
You have questions from me.
I do.
And so, let's get to those questions and see where it takes us.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it's gonna take us a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully we're not.
Because I have questions for you, but at the same time, I would love you to pick my brain so we can kind of have a dialogue.
Well, let's do it.
I love it. So first thing first, what would be your definition of professionalism?
Professionalism, right?
Yes.
So
or just being professional?
That's such an easy but loaded question to answer, right? So based on what I know and define as being a professional, right? First of all, you got to align with the institutional competencies, standards, right? So like being in the military, the first thing my TI told me was, he said, keep your hair cut and shave right. He's like, you won't believe how far you'll get. But that's just the surface.
Most definitely.
Right? I mean, I often like to use the analogy of it's like that nice ride with the big old nice rims, and that shit don't run.
Yeah, it looked good.
Right?
It looked good.
So, I mean, professionalism is understanding the institutional competencies, right? When is it time for me to lead? When is it time for me to follow? Right? Buying into what the mission is. Know what you're getting in.
Most definitely.
Right? Know what you're getting into. And being respectful. I mean, that's really what it boils down to, right? I mean, being respectful. And when you were in the profession of arms, right, which is the military,
Most definitely.
right, that's where you start trying to sort out all those M&Ms on what's, like there's a thin line between love and hate. You remember that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Or you heard that song. And I think in the profession of arms, there's a thin line between respect and disrespect and what is perceived as disrespect, right? And then, you start adding generations, right? So you think about it like this. I'm old, you're young, right? I was in the Air Force over 28 years. The younger folks, right? Like I'm talking about, I was already on my fourth assignment before they were born, right? Their definition of the profession of arms, ironically, in my opinion, is different, even though we have enlisted force structure. You know what I mean? We have 1-1.
Right.
But that's my definition of being professional, showing up all in, doing your best.
Yep.
And being open to feedback.
I think that's the biggest.
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest. Respect and being open to the feedback.
Right. But it's different today. It's harder for you guys.
Why do you say that?
Well, because when I joined the Air Force, we had one typewriter in the office.
Oh, okay.
And Airman James, if a message needed to be passed on to Master Sergeant so-and-so, I was given a Holy Joe in a big yellow envelope to run it across the base. Now,
a Holy Joe.
Now look at me. I got two little computers next to me. You got your computer in front of you, right?
Yep.
By midnight tonight, we could be international with this conversation.
Most definitely.
And everyone has an opinion. And the problem is that today we only want the opinion of whoever's saying what's in our mind.
Yep.
Right? So you better be saying out of your mouth what's in my mind 100%. Otherwise, I'm going somewhere to ask someone else. And there will always be people who will align with your perspective. So to me, professionalism was my lane, right? Imagine me as a chief who disagreed with my command chief. So I just go ask a bunch of other command chiefs. Don't matter what they ain't my command chief. This is my command chief. Exactly. Right?
Yep.
And so being professional is understanding that while there are many perspectives on who has the best beer, is it no, I'm not telling you to get it off there. But I'm saying like I offered you Modelo, and then I said, oh, I have Voodoo Ranger, and your eyes lit up. Voodoo Ranger.
Most definitely.
Right? But someone out there might be like, Voodoo Ranger? I'm like, that stuff's strong. So, it's really good. But you see what I'm saying? And so professionalism now, it's like it's just been spread out.
Yeah.
That's my definition is show up, be your best, be selfless, cut your hair, shave because that was a requirement. Obviously, it don't matter now, right? I mean, I can... No, I still, look, my hair's still cut and stuff like that, right? Stay within weight standard, right? There's no weight standard in some organizations. That's not considered unprofessional, but in the military, it's a requirement, right? So that means meeting it. Don't join something and then be bitching and moaning about the rules.
Right. I mean, no, I get it.
Okay, so
I get it.
I don't know. What do you think? Was that what you were looking for?
That's pretty much right on point. Because I have my own. I'm not gonna say understanding, but my own battles with professionalism, like the actual meaning behind it, right? And I identify with a lot of what you said as far as the respect, buying into what it is to buy into, being open to feedback.
Right.
But at the same time, I feel like the opinions kind of get to me because I am doing great in my career, right? But at the same time, where I come from is in me and flows out of me, and you can definitely see it.
Oh, you mean the streets?
Most definitely,
right?
You know, and the opinions from that kind of make you want to compromise.
Yeah.
You know, to feel like you need to be in line.
Yeah.
But at the same time, me knowing who I am and where I come from, I don't want to get rid of that. I feel like that's made me exactly who I am.
Oh, that's what makes you stronger.
Exactly. And put me in a position where I am.
Yeah. I say never forget where you came from. But what you have to do is you have to learn to harness. It's like where are you channeling your energies? Right? Like you can choose negative or positive, right?
Right.
You can take, so that's like what you're talking about is like a battle between academia and street smarts.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you can't, listen, there's hustlers out there who are balling.
I know plenty
right?
of them.
They got lots of drip.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and even when I learned how to do all this stuff, there's some folks that are like, they're like teenagers. And I'm like, man, how do I get viewers like you? But he's also in the mall talking about, yeah, how long would it take before, you know, I busted, you know, like, you know, and I just won't compromise who I am for views and likes.
Right.
Does it make sense? That's not who I am. I'm a community leader. I'm a retired chief. You know, I already felt weird when I had the braids in my hair for a whole 22 hours. And not because I felt, one, it hurt, but two, it was something I'd never experienced. Yeah, I'll have to show you the pictures afterwards. Yeah. I'd said for 28 years I'd get cornrows.
Yeah.
And I wore them for 22 hours.
Oh yeah.
Much love to Ty at Stunnis who did it. But you don't want to lose that.
Okay.
That's how you became who you are. I'm actually talking to a retired chief prior. He was the policy chief at AFPC.
Okay.
And I was going through his page. And I think you both have a lot in common to include, I think he's from, I don't know if it's South Central, but he's from Southern California. But the picture I saw was him in basic, and he literally said, "This knucklehead." And he served 27 years, was a chief, was great.
Yeah.
You don't have to lose that.
Yeah.
But you absolutely need to be flexible and adjust. I mean, one of the biggest mistakes I made was don't ever change, right? They'll tell you, don't ever change, don't ever change.
Right.
You have to change.
Yeah.
You don't ever lose what the catalyst was, but you have to adapt and adjust. And imagine me.
If you're going to understand life, you have to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If
you get lost.
Yeah, you have to. You have to adjust. But, yeah, I mean, and if you don't want to adjust, and I decided I had adjusted enough, so I retired. I was done.
You made it to the top.
Well, you would believe that making it to the top don't necessarily is not looked at as enough sometimes, but we'll get into that.
Okay.
It's based on what you believe is good enough, and just because you make chief don't mean you made it to the top if you lost your family along the way.
This is very true.
So yeah, I mean, what matters most when you cross that finish line? The people that you love and that love you are there. Not a bunch of PTSD burdens on your back to say, yeah, look, made chief. You think anybody gives a shit I'm a chief when I go on that base?
Not at all.
Shit.
Thank
you. So there you go.
Not at all. So I think that lines us up right with my next question. What do you think being an effective leader is?
Consistent.
What it embodies.
Being consistent and fair and open-minded, right? So
I think that goes into a lot of the followership that we talk about often.
Right. So let me tell you what I felt was another mistake. So you know what I mean? When you talk about mistakes, I don't mean like, it was a full blown hardcore mistake. As a chief, my job is to inspire and develop the enlisted, right? Take care of them, chief enlisted manager, blah, 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 X, Y, and Z, right?
Right.
How can I expect my senior to be Chief Lee unless I let them be Chief Lee?
Right.
You're not a chief, but, I extended that courtesy. And many will tell you, I remember, and it's not just my seniors, my masters and X, Y, and Z. And I wrote a retirement video during COVID and stuff like that. And they said, what I respected about you the most, whether they liked me or not. And this is someone that you would have thought at the beginning, there was no love there. It was, I'm a chief, you're a master sergeant, and that's that.
Right.
Until we had a moment where he was like, holy crap, we think alike.
I think that's often.
Very much alike, right?
Yeah.
And he wrote me, he goes, there were so many times you could have shut me down and you didn't. He said, you let us get it out and you would listen. Someday I'm going to make mistakes. You know what I mean? We all make mistakes. And I think, you want to be a great leader, be fair, be consistent. But if you want to do a little better than I did, know when to draw the line.
As far as what?
Like,
I feel like there could be a lot of lines.
Like, okay, I got kids, right?
Right.
You ever heard that saying, give them an inch, they want a foot?
Most definitely.
Then you give them a foot, then they want a yard?
Yep.
Well, shit, we were 3 miles out of the lanes, and I'm sitting there. Now it's like, I don't think you can shock and awe back.
Yeah.
It's like a slow, progressive push back. You know what I mean? And sometimes you can't get back to that, and you have to readapt and learn from there, And I think you got to be approachable.
Oh my God, yeah, I think that's huge.
Yeah, and look at it. I literally look like Shrek. You know what I mean? And so I was always called the big chief on Nellis. I come across as very combative to my peers, not to airmen.
Yeah. I was about to say, I don't think I got that.
No.
When I seen you.
No, I think, but that's like debating who has the best chicken sandwich. I always use that analogy, right? Like, I think people are hypersensitive to you and your perspectives have two options: to call you combative or default back to their position. Right. And try to shut you down. But, amongst the world of chiefs, you're a chief, you're a chief, you're a chief. And then, at the end of the day, I've said it in other podcasts, and I don't mean, I am so grateful that I got to be with that alumni. But I also realize that the most awesome people who can get stuff done are chiefs, and the ones that can fuck it up the most are a bunch of chiefs together. If we're together, I'm always going to speak my mind. But if let's say, a higher level chief says it's going to go be this way, or the chief group president, it has to be that way. Right. We're not out there looking like that, but you don't have to. Go onto Facebook and go to Ask a Virtual Chief. Go to Airman NCO Senior NCO page right now and look what that is. Those are all our brothers and sisters that are professionals. Oh my God. That want the public to look at them like they're above reproach. I'm in the profession of arms. Yep. I am levels above you. Look at their behaviors.
I've seen it. I don't even like going on there, to be honest with you.
No, yeah, I'm gonna tell you what. When you retire, like I did, it's more comical now. And I don't mean laughing at certain people, but when you're on there wondering if it's your person. Yeah. Right. So it's easy now. So I think that's what it is be approachable, be credible, be consistent. Because as a leader, you right now you're at the airman level, right? And you should be performing at what level? I always encourage my people to perform one to two levels. 1 to 2. Okay. I've always said that you promote based on potential. So you're already supposed to be performing at the staff sergeant level, so to speak, right? Your staff sergeant is senior airman.
I'm senior airman. I was supposed to go on staff in August.
Right.
I've been waiting to go to LA.
Okay, so that's what I thought, right? And so that's how some people get the waivers and all that stuff, right? So even worse for you, right? Like you already need to start being like, okay, what would a tech sergeant be doing? In my opinion, that's how you set yourself apart.
Most definitely.
Right. And so that's buying into the profession of arms and the institution, right? Yes, and being professional, in my opinion. Okay. I would also caveat that with, but don't compromise and lose yourself.
Right.
Don't lose what matters to you. Right.
How much do you think being humble ties into being a leader?
I think it's like everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing like Kendrick Lamar even said. Was that Kendrick Lamar
yeah,
said?
most
Be humble, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to. But I'm gonna tell you this though. I wasn't humble coming up. I was very cutthroat.
Kind of hearing about your background and how you speak about yourself. I got that.
Yeah, because it was different though. So, back in my day, if you complain, see, golly. So back in my day, when I had a beef or complain about something, how do you think that was handled?
To be honest, I do not know.
Yeah, shut your ass up and go back to work.
Got you.
And I didn't even know what the IG was.
And that's the end of it.
Yeah, and I don't give a crap about the IG. You know what I mean? And I'm not speaking bad about them. What I mean is like, I don't find that as like, you know, I that's not me. I promise you there's a whole lot of that now, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you don't talk to me that way. Like, I don't know. I just did what I was told, right?
Most definitely.
And so it's different, right?
I think that's the easiest path. Like, that's the easiest path.
I agree. I think there are plenty of mechanisms today to undermine your chain of command and leadership as a substandard performer.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And you can default easily to an array, right? An array of things to include, you know, I got in this conversation with someone about, I disagreed with the bullying.
You disagree with...
Yeah, when they created the AFI and dropped the bullying into the EO office, right? And I don't disagree with an AFI that talks about bullying. I don't disagree with bullies being held accountable. No AFI has ever fixed a problem that exists within a person's behaviors.
I was kind of standoffish when you say you were against it, but I get exactly what you're saying there.
What I mean is leaders need to hold their people accountable appropriately, right? I mean, when they came out with the Air Force PT guidance, 2905, did we have 100% across the board because it said you will be healthy and you will be fit 365 days a year? They wrote the instruction. Did it fix it?
No.
Nope. What is it called? Individual responsibility. How many people out there want to be individually responsible?
Oh, nah, it's not many.
I'm going to tell you when they be responsible. When that check don't hit, you best believe finance has a long sign-in list.
Most definitely.
Right? So people will be, and I'm not dogging folks. Airman James was just probably the same.
Most definitely.
I'm saying that it's human nature to be proactive on the things you really care about, right? And yeah, I don't know. People out there, I will respect their opinions, you know. And I got in a nice debate about it, and it really actually boiled down to not necessarily the AFI piece came up later. It had to do with a Facebook memory came up, and my friend tagged me about us tagging on his stripe.
Oh, okay.
And we used to tag them on.
Yeah, I mean, I got mine tagged on.
Yeah, we can't do that no more now.
Right.
You know, and then the debate was, no, the AFI says you can. It says, no, because the AFIs are too ambiguous. It's like one person reads red, the other person reads brick red, and the other person reads pink. And I was like, it's not black and white. I was like, so leaders tend to just kind of try to shy away from it. Unless you're in those organizations that tend to be a lot more family based and they like their histories and stuff like that and their traditions. But anyways, I digress. I've deviated away from probably what you want to know.
Oh, no. We are right on line, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, we're right on line.
Okay. Well, let me drink some water.
What was I going to say? I had something in mind. It'll pop up later on. So the next question, how much do you think networking contributes to a team's success?
It's everything.
Yeah, I mean,
networking is everything, right?
Oh, definitely.
So that's actually a very loaded question, right? So what I mean by that is how much does networking contribute to a team's success? What team are you talking about? Are you talking about like me networking with Chiefs? Are you talking about the network within like a top 3 or an ace or a 5-6? Because that kind of answers that. Because when you bring leaders, like-minded leaders in of all backgrounds, right? Dude, like that's the best of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, those moments when you have genuinely invested leaders there for the right reasons with different backgrounds. Come on, tell me you haven't experienced. That's a beautiful thing.
I've experienced in football.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've experienced that.
Okay.
That
So
was the greatest team we've ever been a part of.
literally you just told me you've never experienced that in the Air Force, right? Yeah. And that's unfortunate. Because I have, but I also know I came from a career field, that it just depends on the attitude of the people, right?
Most definitely.
So I'm a services guy, right? So what does that mean? What does that mean coming from you, right? And you're still active, so you can tell me whatever the hell you want it means.
Oh yeah, no, I'm comfortable sharing my opinion. What do you mean?
Okay, so let me just, that was more rhetorical, I guess, right? Egg flipper, towel folder, right? I chose that career field. I went in to be a cop.
Okay.
By God's good grace, it didn't happen. And they were like, I remember I was at basic training and they laid out all these folders and I said, what's this thing called MWR? And no lie, the guy from CBPO, so MPF used to be called CBPO. He said, yeah, you're going to pass out basketballs. And I was a baller. 17-year-olds in basic as a baller. What do you think I said? Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, okay.
That one, dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want that one. And I loved it. You know, MWR was just fitness. And then a year later, it merged with food. And those.
Got you.
Right?
Okay. I'm still thinking that everything was.
No, back then it was MWR and services. And then it became MWRS. And then it just went to services. And it evolved a billion times. You remember I was in almost like 3 decades, right?
Right.
So, but I loved working the grill. And if you're in the kitchen with people that you love, and AFN is bumping in the background,
Oh yeah.
and you're going to put out a meal, right? That's teamwork.
That's when the best product comes out.
Right. And so imagine when you're trying to put out, let's say, a Thanksgiving meal because I care about you, and I got my coworker who's from the South, someone from the West Coast, someone from the East Coast. That's a network, right?
Most definitely.
How important it is. Networks are important at everything. I mean, shit, fortunately, the Red Horse chief used to live in the next court.
Oh, okay.
And he was a vehicle maintenance guy.
Yeah.
So every time, like one time I remember him walking by and I was in there struggling fixing my car for an hour on one thing. And I'm lucky he didn't lose a body part. He had it fixed in 10 minutes.
Oh, I mean, that's his job.
But that's a network though.
Exactly though.
Right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
a network. Me, you knowing you. That's a network.
Most definitely.
Right? Me knowing someone else. That's a network. That's absolutely critical.
Most definitely.
Networks are everything. Everything. Honestly, they should teach in leadership school. Be a decent person because more people will gravitate towards you, which builds your network.
Yeah.
To hell with all the EPR writing crap, all this other shit, right? Focus on that. Be a good person.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways.
No. You're right. You're
know?
right. And I see so many people that have to say they're a leader for people to guess. I guess not even want to follow, but like, okay, well, I guess I have to be behind him. I see that way too often where they have to say I'm a leader for them to feel good and for somebody else to fall in line.
Because
they don't go by action. Like we don't feed off the action of the leader.
One, we talk about leadership too much.
True.
On the EPR, it says leadership and followership. Yet if you write a followership bullet, who gives a shit? We assume everybody knows how to follow.
Yeah.
But most people don't know how to follow without some shitty attitude. And everybody will tell you have to know how to follow to be a good leader.
Most definitely.
Right? So whenever we decide to get out of that loser's loop, right?
I feel like we'll give the answer away too much and not let people be who they're supposed to be.
Yeah, and we don't know how to give feedback.
Yeah.
We don't know how to receive
I was
feedback,
about to say that too.
right? Illicit forced distribution. The biggest beef I had with it, what do you think it was?
Leadership.
No, it was honesty.
Oh, okay.
It was, you only get so many promote nows. You only get so many must promotes. So the person who didn't just quite make that cut for whatever reason, which is a whole nother story in my opinion, they get a promote. So what about the shit bag out there who didn't do jack shit that their weak ass boss gave them a promote too?
Yep.
Because when we went to say do not promote or not ready now, someone's all in their feelings like a Drake song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had a commander, not here to any of my bosses that were my bosses here, not here. This was a real life story. I had a subordinate who had a lot of issues, a lot of mental health issues, legitimate mental health issues. EPR came my way. Recommend not ready now.
Right. I mean, and I think that might be the best.
Oh, yeah. Do you know why I said not ready now?
Not mentally stable.
Okay. So go back to that a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get to my other soundboard so I could have did that right. Not ready now. I said when you promote, you expect them to bring and execute more stuff.
You have to be
I'm
ready.
like, they're not even here. Yeah, but we can't do that. That would mess them up more. Are you fucking kidding me? I was like, we need to stop gassing people up.
Yeah.
I said, because what about that person? Oh, by the way, this is a real story. Came and told me like, so I don't understand why I should continue to work so hard. I didn't get a forced distribution, but I got to promote just like so-and-so who's never at work. Mm. You know what you say to that when you're a senior and they're staff sergeant?
Really can't say nothing. You can't. You can't.
Yeah, you can't say shit. No. You know what I said?
How can you explain that?
I said, you right. I was like, I'll talk to the boss about embracing and understanding when it's appropriate to use this stuff. Mm-hmm. And you can't necessarily be what do you say when you're that leader? Do you say, yeah, but the commander, that's a cowardly thing, dude. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's what it is. Like, senior enlisted, they don't command. At the end of the day, second lieutenants outranked me. Right? True. And I got more deployment time than they do life. Yeah. So it is what it is, right?
I think a lot of it stems from what EPRs do to the persons in their career. Mm-hmm. Like special duties, right? Like they have to see your EPRs. When they read through it, they pretty much think they see the person. Yeah. So say that same person with the mental health issues, right, got that whatever they were going to get, whatever you felt like they should have had, right?
Oh, I think they could have been all the way to the right and not ready now, based on the standard that supervisor gave them. Okay. So if you rate individually, saying, listen, I understand you're going through something. Mm-hmm. So this is my standard for you. Mm-hmm. What if your standard is doing the bare minimum and you meet or exceed that? Yeah. But you're still not ready. I mean, that's the problem though. Everything is based on interpretation.
Most definitely.
So I
feel like we need a lot more boards as goes on. For the person to speak for themselves. Because I feel like EPRs are supposed to be everything, and you're supposed to be able to read the person off of the EPR, but at the same time, dude, I feel like the person means so much more than that piece of paper.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell you this. I still review EPRs from people because I care about them. Like I'll see them post in a group, and I'll be like, send it my way, I'll review it. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't believe the number of people who are upset that are not getting promoted to a senior NCO level rank. In the draft I get, my response is, I would demote you to senior airman if this is the product you provided. Right. And that's a tough one because I think we waste too much time writing EPRs anyways.
Most definitely. I just got done with mine.
Right. And they get thrashed. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's like, at what point in time do we stop the Da Vinci Code, EPR mastery crap? Exactly. Based on who happens to be sitting in the chair above you and how they like to read stuff. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I don't know, dude. There's so many more important things that I believe we should be focusing on.
Which is?
Like I'll tell you, like the first thing you should be told is you volunteered to join the Air Force, right? Mm-hmm. You want to be a chief? You don't know, but if you were the top,
I do plan to do and get as far as I possibly can before I get tired of it.
Okay.
That's my answer.
What percent makes chief?
I have no idea.
1. So everybody ain't going to be a chief.
Right.
So let's start making people feel good about wherever you end up being.
Yeah.
As long as you didn't lose what's important on the way, stop making people feel bad because they didn't want to miss their kid's birthday to go name a sign after Chief KJ. Does it make sense? I mean, it's like we keep making these people feel like, I had this debate and I said it in my retirement speech. I said, get rid of service before self in the core values. I said, get rid of service before self.
I think that can be interpreted the way it might supposed to be interpreted.
Well, that's the problem though.
It's
Everybody interprets it 1,000 different ways. Kevin James took that shit as every deployment volunteer they asked for, I volunteered for it. Kevin James took that as, I raised my hand. I serve, right? I'm going.
But at the same time, I personally feel like I can give it more of what I have to the Air Force, but at the same time, I feel like I'm still an individual. I'm not the Air Force. I am Aaron Carrington first.
Right.
And Aaron Carrington needs to be taken care of first. And if I can give my all to the Air Force while being okay with who I am, I'm perfect.
No, that's good. And this is what I would tell you. That's good as long as you ain't bitching about someone who outperformed you and got promoted.
Oh, right.
Not you, but I'm just saying.
No. I definitely get that.
But some people have that mindset and then they're still complaining.
Yeah.
I'm like, they outperformed you. I was like, but they're going through a divorce. Does it make sense? So we don't talk about that stuff though. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna tell you, like well, yes I would. I'd be like, please. I'm like no. I'm like, look, I needed volunteers. You said you had more important things to do. And I absolutely hated like the air. I hate the air show. I think that's the last time I remember. Didn't I see you running around out there? I may have no. Because it was a voluntold thing. It was always those all hands on deck things. Yeah. And I hate that crap, especially when I have half my squadron always deployed. Right. And when they're home, the last thing they want to do is go to an air show.
Most definitely.
Right. Yeah. And so anyways, whatever the case may be, but I think we put too much attention into the wrong stuff. And it's not malicious. I am absolutely not smarter than the collective group of people who think at this level. But guess what? You ever flown an airplane to look out the window?
Yeah.
And you see that little dot? If it's a Ford, a Chevy, a truck, a car? No, you don't. And if you've been on staff forever, you've lost touch. And half the time, they only communicate with the local command chiefs who tell them usually something different than what I might tell you, right? And I don't think that's malicious. I think that's just how it is. Some people are like, Kevin James is bitching. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Whatever, because you're no more or less chiefly than I am. And when was the last time you've been down here taking the punches, right? And I used to always remember those war movies where they're out in the field fighting the bad guys and they're calling close air support. And you got the guy in the safety of his in the rear. Yeah, that's a negative. You're gonna have to hold off on that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that's how I look at it. Is like I used to always think like how do some of these people get there? But I also believe there's tribalism, and I believe there's people who will continue to self-endure. They'll self-endorse like-minded their buddies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, guess what? If you have all the buddies, right, sitting up here, and it's always high fives and Captain Morgan commercials, you know what I mean? And then, the Hail Mary, we're calling for help. Yeah. And it's, you know what I mean? And it don't come. I remember sitting at, I was sitting at chief school next to a chief, awesome person. And I said, you're not the same kind of chief I am. It's like, how many airmen you got getting DUIs sitting on staff? Some of them don't even got airmen. I said, I got folks hiding prostitutes in the trunk, drinking and driving, Facebook Live. You ain't got the shit problems that Squadron Chiefs got.
Yeah.
And some of them be like, oh, the best time I had was in the Squadron. Then why'd you burn rubber out of it?
Right.
Why'd you run away from it?
Right.
You was out of that shit real quick. You've been hiding on staff forever.
Yeah.
Get out of here with that bullshit.
Yeah.
And I love them all as people, but don't come at me with that bull crap. You know what I mean? So anyways, you might be like, damn, by the time we get through this, we don't want to put this. So we don't want to post this.
To be completely honest, I'm loving the conversation.
Okay.
I'm loving the conversation. I was about to say, let's put this to the side. I ask you about my homework stuff later on. But
Yeah, let's do it. I got quite a few degrees too. Yeah. School of Hard Knocks.
It says School of Hard Knocks. How many degrees you have?
6.
What's the highest? Level?
Masters.
Masters? Mm-hmm. And what?
6 Sigma process improvement.
What is that?
6 Sigma process improvement is like the lean processes to improve processes and make things better. Like what our manpower offices do.
Yeah.
You ever heard of the AFSO 21? You have AFWorks, Airmen Inspiring Innovation.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
Think tank, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
I haven't learned how to improve my vocabulary though, so.
I think that's even part of it too. Kind of going back to as far as professionalism and me not feeling like I exceed the professionalism because I don't change my speech. I make sure I'm respectful, but I don't change my speech. I don't use big words to feel like I need to impress anybody. If I use the most basic vocabulary,
right,
you should be able to understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
and I shouldn't feel like I need to use the biggest words to make you feel like, oh my God, this.
Nah, look,
this
man.
smart.
One of the guys I came up with, Chief Jones.
Okay.
Right, Kendrick Jones. We met at Vandenberg Air Force Base about 1997, 8-ish, right? And he just retired. We're close, right?
When did you join the Air Force?
1992. July 30, 1992.
I was almost here.
That dude, right? So, I sent him a message. That dude was, how about this? He was gangsta on the basketball court.
Yeah.
He, to me, was the most formidable opponent I came across.
Right.
Young, strong, fast, athletic. And he's one of the few chiefs that has a PhD in the Air Force.
Oh, okay. He's still in the Air Force?
He's retiring.
Okay.
He may be transitioning and moving somewhere else, but just brilliant guy. So what I'm trying to say is he was who he was when he was younger.
Yeah.
I think you would be doing yourself a disservice by trying to change you, but you absolutely should continue to try to elevate your game. And if you haven't defined what do you define as success? And if you haven't written that out, you should consider
exactly
it,
what it
right?
is.
Okay, so if you know what it is, and I asked you, do you want to be a chief? And you kind of said,
no.
In so many ways you said, no, I just want to be the best version of me, and wherever that tops out at, right?
If I can make chief, beautiful. If
Dude,
I don't,
bro,
I'm okay with that. I promise.
Ask anyone. They thought I wasn't going to make tech sergeant.
Right.
I got a message saying, I can't believe you made chief.
Right.
And you're doing this.
Yeah.
There will always be haters, right? Actually, 2020, I came up with this thing. I was like, yeah, there's a lot of takers, fakers, and promise breakers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I'll put it straight out there. Like, how many of my peers shared my content? I know all of it is not fucking Chappelle level.
Right.
Nor is it maybe necessarily Simon Sinek. But how many of them, when I talked about breaking barriers with my last, the Boca Negras, right, with transgender and leadership and all that, how many of them push that content?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
VA claims and all that. How many? But I see people all the time I know post other people's YouTube stuff. So I'm like, okay, so you're not above pushing some YouTube stuff.
Right.
So you have to, you always have to understand that the win sometimes is not what you think it is. You may define that as the win, and something from left field is going to come. Right. I thought this was going to blow up for me.
Yeah.
What if it's not? What if it was just to bring me and my family together? What if it was just to be able to sit here and break bread and talk to you, and all of a sudden you're like, dude, I want to come over and hang out more. Or what if you want to start your own podcast?
I thought about it, honestly.
Yeah, you could put my new stunner shades on that I just got the other day.
Hilarious.
Right?
Hilarious.
That's some Ephesi stuff.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Ephesi.
That yay area stuff. So, that maybe that's what the win is here. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But what I know is I went to a very dark place where I realized I was like, wow, you know what I mean? Like these people who say they got my back and all that, I didn't know if they did or not, but I'm sure they do. It's just where I chose to take myself. Right. And I think that goes along the lines of what you're talking about in leadership, right? Sometimes leading, you're that lead plane, right? With the jets behind you.
Yeah.
I didn't realize as a chief, my leadership had to transform to being a lighthouse. And maybe I didn't see a ship for months. But what if that one time a cruise liner with 4,000 passengers would have hit rocks had it not seen me?
Exactly.
So sometimes you just have to be present. And I chose, and I continue to choose to be present, even if I'm retired. And I have another career. I do not need to do this.
Yeah.
I don't need to share people's stories, but I love people.
Yeah. I mean, I'm literally the same way. I love talking. I love hearing other people's stories.
Yeah. So write a script, dude. Come over here and use the stuff. You know what I mean? If you want, you know what I mean?
Most definitely.
You know?
I mean, but more like I said, like I love to just talk.
Yeah.
Impromptu. Like I just, whatever it may be.
Me too, man. We were birds of a feather, man. I'm glad you saw me and I saw you back in Ethos again. I was like, hey.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Aaron. I didn't say that.
I was definitely, I think before then, I've only seen you once.
Well, we would always say hello. Okay, so a lot of people at Ethos avoid me sometimes because they know I'm a chief.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no, I'm not anymore. And I've always liked living away from the base because when I'm off, I like to be off.
Yeah.
I can dress until I met my wife who straightened me out, right? Like I was very much like a Walmart t-shirt, shorts guy, you know, didn't care.
Real comfortable.
Yeah, and my wife's like, you're too comfortable. And
That's my
so,
girl.
yeah, and so she's like, no, you know, you need to present yourself in a way. And so, you know, I'm blessed to have her. And, but you know, she keeps me in check. Like, you know, like, so, you know, you're like, hey, I had to talk to my, hey, bring her here, put her on the mic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, that's what it's about, man.
Yeah. That's the same with me, man. I'm usually way too comfortable. And my girl was like, I like it, but at the same time, I like when you dress up. I like when you look good. I like when you take care of yourself.
You're talking about your, is it, so it's your girlfriend or wife?
My girlfriend.
Girlfriend.
My girlfriend,
Okay.
yes,
Okay. Going to be, never mind. Let me stop. Let me not do that.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. My wife, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's okay.
My wife, I just hinted, like maybe in a year from now, I should propose to you. She rolled back 7 months with a marriage date.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And that was 8 months after we met. No, 6 months.
I think by that time, you know, to be honest with you.
I knew the minute I heard her voice.
Most definitely.
My wife has she has a tone when she's not mad at me, which is rare.
Oh, yeah.
That it's like naturally you can't be mad.
Yeah.
So and that's bliss. It's heaven. And even, you know, with us talking and stuff like that, my wife would be like, yeah, you're supposed to be on shift at right after you get off work to take care of our son. I'm like, nah, I said I got an interview.
Yeah.
So she is awesome. But yeah, you should bring her one time. We were going to do a couples thing. We were going to interview couples.
Okay.
Like me and my wife and talk about stories. And one thing I'll encourage you with this, think about what your niche is. Okay. I'm still trying to figure it out. If you look at my content, right? So now if you haven't subscribed, it's like mandated. Now you have to subscribe after this, right?
Most definitely.
You'll see that we do all kinds of stuff. I talk to people like this on a serious note. I just prank call my friends with diarrhea sound is in the background and told them that I had the runs. I lost a subscriber to that.
That's okay.
I was like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, I guess I should have been a little more uppity and caviar, right? And that's not it's really not. I can fit in with that
Yeah.
That's not me.
Exactly.
So
this is your platform to become.
yeah. And then, I got the D's nuts on you. So
Yeah.
anyways,
Definitely
okay.
would expect. Wasn't
So what else you got, man? What else you got?
So
And dude, we don't got to rush. I'm just curious. I want to make sure whatever marks you need to meet get met.
most definitely. So pretty much, this is all in one. You're gonna tell me about a time where the contribution to the team actually. That's the term. Right. I already know.
No, you're good. I just want to make sure the audience is like, oh, this is gonna
what's
be a
going
big.
on?
This is gonna be a big question.
This is weird. Pretty much, like I was saying before, tell me about a success or a failure that either your subordinate dealt with or you dealt with yourself, and tell me about the decisions that got you to that point, and pretty much tie that together with the profession of arms and warrior ethos. It can be big. It can be the most minor thing.
Let me
like
tell
you got paperwork or
Let me tell you what. So, have you ever imagine if you got in a relationship with you're in a relationship with your girlfriend. I'm in a relationship with my wife. Right. Let's say their last relationship, they were cheated on.
Mm-hmm.
And you're young in life.
Oh yeah.
Do you think that you will ever not be accused or looked at as doing the same thing, no matter what?
I mean, I feel like just the whole mankind in general,
Right,
are known as cheaters in a way. So I think that's in our bloodline, or not even our bloodline, but women that look at men, it's like they have to think about that. That's one of the things they have to think about often.
So I guess
Whether they are in a relationship prior to you that went through that trauma.
So let me give you a different example.
But even more so, yes.
Let's say a woman who was beat and abused and battered in a previous relationship now decides years later they're going to somehow find the courage to have a relationship with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you show the slightest hints of that history.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that will trigger, right?
It's definitely triggering.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is what I'm getting at is I think we all as people go through something in life that will trigger us, and we may or may not be as assertive or as aggressive.
What do you mean as assertive or as
Okay.
aggressive?
So
to deal with it?
Yeah. So let's say you were accused of something as a supervisor that was absolutely false.
Okay. Got
But
you.
you're not going to change who you are.
Right.
I'm from South Central, dog.
Most definitely.
Right? I'm this guy. This is what got me to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you would change your behaviors if you were sensing your spidey senses were picking up on that vibe again in another situation where a subordinate accused you of something or said you did something? Let's say it was sexual harassment. Let's say it was rape. Let's say it was any number. Let's say any number of things.
Yeah.
Right?
Me personally, yes, I would feel like there needs to be a change, but it'll probably take a lot of reflecting to understand that, because I feel like no matter what happens in your life,
Right.
you always have to find some type of accountability. So you've presented something that made it okay for them to feel that way.
Right.
You know, so it may have been your approach, your behavior, whatever it may have been.
Do you think so? Well, no. So yes.
Yeah. No. I mean,
So
I think it's definitely possible, but at the same time, it can all be bullshit.
So if you fact, right? So I'm trying to navigate your question.
Okay.
So imagine no matter what you do,
you're wrong.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
There's not win-win when you're a leader in an organization as let's say a chief. Now you might be as what I call the chief cheerleaders, right? Like boom, 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 shish, boom, ba, blah, 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 right? But that's actually a fallacy. I know a lot of my peers who were beat. You can only take so much.
Physically beat, or are you just talking about just mentally?
Listen, when you sit here right now, do you see a chief or do you just see a guy?
Me personally, I mean, I just see a guy.
Yeah. You saw my son.
Yeah.
I could bring my baby out. You're like, this dude ain't no different than me. He even has Voodoo Ranger.
Right.
How much criticism do you think your leader, your chief, or I would take in the organization in comparison to where you're at right now?
Where I'm at as far as
Like
my rank?
Senior Airman Staff Sergeant. Like, it's like little to none.
Yeah, I was about to say, no, you're not taking nothing.
No. So any day of the week, right? When you have this plethora of people and you have bills to pay, bills to pay could be, DDR, you got to deploy, you got this, you got that, you got this, right? Imagine the performer who wants to be involved and they're always being proactive and doing stuff. Oh, you favor them. Well, they don't suck like you. So it's not that I favor them. They're more present. But in contrast, right? Like I'm a man, you're a man, right?
Yep.
But if we stand next to each other, I'm Shrek.
Right.
The contrast alone makes us look different, feel different, seem different just from an observation. So back to your question. I got tired of the shit later in my career.
You got tired
I got tired of taking the beatings. I got tired of people fucking, who got promoted off of my efforts and backed and bad talking me. Does it make sense? Because they lack the ability to lead.
Right.
And over time, you come home and your family life is not right and you're tired. And then you start questioning your leadership compass.
Yeah.
Right? You know what LMV is?
No.
Leadership market value.
That's notable.
By the way, that's mine. I just made that up today.
Hey, but that's notable.
Your leadership market value. You think a leader's market value to those who are supposed to follow him is always rockets and moon? I don't know if you invest, right? But
yeah, I do.
Okay, so you know that when I talk about rockets and going to the moon, they're talking about when a stock,
it's skyrocketing, right? It's going up.
Do you think my leadership market value was always high?
No.
No,
I don't think nobody ever is.
If I did the right thing over here, it pissed this person off. And then if I did it this way, it pissed that person off, right? And that shit gets old.
Yep. You just got to be okay with it.
So I am okay admitting to you that I am a human being and I got tired of it. And oh, by the way, I also got to deal with all the other stupid shit. Like, Lord knows, this is one of my biggest gripes. If I was a chief in the Air Force today, and I'm not, so I can speak freely on this, and I read that bullshit about we're not going to do AC measurements when PT's testing resumes because of stress. And in COVID, I'm like, COVID didn't stop anyone from dieting and walking and doing push-ups and sit-ups.
Right.
And it's like, you know how many people I put out of the Air Force because they didn't pass an AC measurement? So now it's not important? Stop changing policy for bullshit reasons. You know what I mean? You wrote an AFI that says you got to be ready 365 days a year. Why do we deviate from that?
Right.
Because every time you deviate from a standard, it creates ambiguity. It creates dissension.
Yep.
I used to always tell people you want to live and die by the AFI and fitness, but you won't fucking enforce the dress and appearance standard.
Exactly.
I'm like, that's picking and choosing.
Yeah.
And people see it. The young guys in the Air Force today are smart. They see that crap. Yeah. And they can also just go on Facebook right now. You want to go to the Airman Incencio page and see what they're talking about?
Bullshit.
No, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I get it though.
Just like that, they can get the opinions of everybody who don't really fucking matter. And that's not good for institution.
Do we have anything specific
So let me get back to your story, right?
Okay.
Or let me get back to your question, right?
Yeah.
So I lost trust and faith in the system.
As a chief.
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. I lost trust and faith in the system.
Was that like a ongoing thing before you became chief?
No, it had to do with if I am who I am. I joined the Air Force when I was 17. I wasn't even an adult when I joined the Air Force.
Right.
And now
Coming from where again? Where were you from?
Sacramento.
Oh,
I was a military brat. Me and my dad were in the Air
Cali.
Force for 1 year together.
Okay.
Now that I'm a chief, and I literally was made by you, by leaders all through these decades. Now I'm a bully because I hold someone accountable.
Yeah.
Now I'm toxic
Too hard.
because I'm candid.
Yeah.
And if you think I want to go through another, if you don't think, and this is, okay, so this is my opinion and not to pollute your mind.
Oh, go ahead.
How do you, how
I'm my
hard,
own man.
how hard is it to undermine a leader in today's Air Force, right? Oh, you know what? I don't agree with that. I'm just going to go file an IG complaint. And who do you think's welcoming that shit? The IG.
Most definitely.
The IG. Oh, come see us. Come see us, right? I was on IG, right? And I'm like, really? I'm like, what happened to chain of command?
Yeah. Some of the things you've seen was.
I'm like, we used to go through the chain of command,
Yeah.
right? Also, they may not feel comfortable with that. There's a whole lot of other shit they don't feel comfortable with. Like their spouse leaving them because they're being made to deploy again.
Yeah.
So don't give me that bull crap.
Yeah.
And so to me, how many indirect insults should you take when you're a leader? Oh, so now I'm not trustworthy.
Right.
I am a chief. I have opinions and will and all that other fucking bullshit, right? But then when in my opinion, when you started seeing commanders get fired for loss of confidence for the dumbest shit ever, chiefs almost were not allowed to be chiefs anymore unless they worked for an 06.
This is a fact.
I can't say that because someone out there will dispute it.
Gotcha.
This is what I see,
Okay. Gotcha.
right? Because at the end of the day, the commander is accountable for the entire squadron.
Most definitely.
So if Chief James is out there being Chief James, and the culture has shifted where that's interpreted as, honesty is interpreted as being a bully, or it's not, right? So I'm not saying any of my commanders felt that way. What I'm saying is that I got to a point where I didn't even want to cross that bridge.
Yeah.
And so I steered away from trusting the system. The profession of arms to me became a punchline, right? And when you start seeing AFIs and rules and dress and appearance standards change for the sake of change, and of course someone's going to say it's for the better and others are going to say it's not.
Yeah.
So whose opinion matters?
Did you see an incline, like when you did change, right? Did you see an incline in your leadership?
Yeah, I
and
shifted
people
to my
following
airmen.
you? Okay.
I shifted my efforts and attention to the airmen and defending them. And
What made you not do that before?
Well, no, I did, but I would meet with my senior NCOs because think about it. As a chief, you meet with your senior NCOs,
Okay.
right? Well, great group of senior NCOs, right? But everybody knows how to be the chief better than the chief, right?
Right.
And at the end of the day, I was like, well, y'all got it figured out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I also like the idea of like development here, and seeing where the messages are getting lost.
Okay.
So if I encourage Airman X to communicate the things that are on their mind and bothering them to their NCOs, and I'm communicating to their NCOs that, listen, your job is to influence and develop these young guys.
Most definitely.
One time I wrote a paper that said it's about 80% of military dependents join the military. So who might be my kids' chiefs if they join? In a culture of suicide. You. And damn, the idea that my kids might be led by some of the shit that I see,
Yeah.
right? Like I'll tell anybody, I don't want my kids to join the military. Between me and my dad, we got almost 60 years.
For what reason?
it's not what it used to be. And every year they change something, right? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? The retirement system changes, the pay changes. You know what I mean? I'm like, I haven't seen no ops tempo slow down,
Exactly.
going down range, right? Regardless who's in charge, right?
Yeah.
Regardless who's our commander in chief.
Yeah.
And I just see things becoming. It could be for the better, but not for Kevin James.
Most definitely.
And I'm okay by saying I did my time. You can't take that away from me. And that's it. So I regret losing faith in the system.
You regret that?
I regret it because there's people who need you.
Okay.
And sometimes when you take your foot off the gas, you may not have been as effective to someone, right?
Right. So did you lose your faith in the system? So I thought you said, so you said.
What I mean is being like candid. Like,
Okay.
like I just didn't have the energy no more to, do
the Air Force.
Yeah, just because you have to be, to me, being a chief and being chiefly means being fucking real.
Yeah.
And I can't when I have airmen who expect me as the chief to get things done for them, and I'm getting some political bullshit answers, and I can't do nothing for them.
Right.
That sucks. You know what I mean? I mean, imagine you being you spent 3 decades losing everything to become a chief, right?
Yeah.
And when you become that, you're like, hey, I need this, I need that. You know what I mean? I need to try to get this, slow down deployments, all that stuff. And it don't happen, right? So I guess I wish I would have just still had faith, still pushed hard. But I'm not, I mean, I don't have no regrets today because I believe everything plays out the way it's supposed to play out.
Most definitely.
Everything
happens for a reason.
I had a lot of brilliant senior SOs, but one made chief, right? As a matter of fact, I think in about a week, she's going to sew on chief.
Nice.
And it was my second time in my career running across her. I was her supervisor before. And she got to carry the torch and, do what she had to do. And at the end of the day, we're kinetic.
Yeah.
Don't get comfortable with one leader because you blink your eye, it's changing and it's changing and it's changing.
I think we got one of the best right now. Well, in my opinion, I think we have one of the best right now, and I'm trying my best not to see him as this is what I'm going to get every time.
Is this your organization you're talking about? Probably so.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if that's where this is what I encourage.
Our commander, I should be saying, not our chief, but our commander.
Okay. Well, commander, chief, right? This is what I suggest. I always gravitated to, if someone really inspired me a certain way, I made it a point to gravitate to them and say, I want to pick your brain.
Most definitely.
And that can, believe it or not, there's a lot of people out there who won't do that.
And that's a lot of my peers kind of look at me like that because if I seen you walking around base, right, your stripes don't scare me. The stripes don't scare me at all.
Yeah.
Stars, bars, none of that. None of it scares me.
Yeah.
Because just like how we talked about earlier, you're a man, just like I'm a man, or you're a woman.
Right.
You're a human, right? We're all human. We live our lives outside of this uniform. So there's no need for me to be scared of you.
Right.
All you can do is educate me.
Yeah. And hopefully they will.
Right. And if you can't, then okay. I got exactly what I needed from you, to be honest with you.
Right.
How not to be.
And and you know what? And that goes back to the trust thing. I mean, I saw leaders who would be the first ones to tell me how I have to be to connect with the troops.
Yeah.
Yet I'm like, you don't do that.
Yeah.
And so, you know what I mean? And so you get to a point where it's like, you don't want, it's a game.
Oh yeah.
And it's a fun game. And let me tell you something, anything negative I may have said really accounts for less than 1% of my Air Force journey.
Okay.
I love the Air Force.
Most definitely.
I love the people in it like you. I love the leaders who taught me lessons, whether they did it through good or bad actions.
Right.
I actually don't resent them. I think there's maybe 2 people that they better hope I don't cash them outside them gates. And that's mostly because, it was dirty. It was dirty. You know what I mean? And so it's all good, man.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think, you know what I mean, if I really answered your question.
I mean, you did in a very broad way. I would
Right.
love if we can simple it down to a very specific event, though. Like,
All right, let me give you an event in a positive, right? I ran mortuary affairs in Iraq,
okay.
right? I had a team, and guess who knew me then? You know Master Sergeant Kane, the incoming commandant of ALS?
She's there.
Yeah, she was an airman in Iraq when I was a tech sergeant.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so
So you ran a mortuary, you said, in Iraq, right?
casualty collection point in combat zone.
Okay.
Right, with
Casual-
101st.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so that's where my
seen a
PTSD
lot.
came from. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you can imagine the worst thing possible, right? So we go from towel folders to egg flippers to now I'm having
dead
bloody
bodies.
bodies bleed on me,
Oh, my God. Yeah.
right? Can you imagine the emotions that are running, right?
I still try to kind of think about, like, if I ever were to
Yeah.
see combat, how, because coming from LA, I've seen it.
Yeah,
Like, I've seen it. But at the same time, like, I still don't know how to deal with it. I feel like I'm numb to it. But at the same time, I haven't came back to
Sorry.
it. That's okay.
No. The light's blinking.
Meaning.
So I told my son to come plug it in. I think
dying.
the battery might be getting ready to die. The plug's
Okay.
right down there.
Okay. So I couldn't even imagine
Right.
what you were going
Right.
through.
So I'm watching my team break down. This is where, like as an NCO, service before self, you would have thought I had no emotions.
Right.
You would have thought I had no emotions. You can't. Mission first, right? Mission first. And oh, by the way, I'm swole, right? I mean, I'm looking good.
Yeah.
Like back in this time frame. This is about 2005 to 2006. And so profession of arms, right? Maintaining my bearing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Taking care of my airmen. I was super proud because I was able to balance bearing with compassion and understanding why this was a tough job when some of my airmen could not do it.
True leader. That I think that's what that means.
Right. And
That's a true leader.
And I pray, some of my friends on Facebook, I pray they don't carry the burdens with them that I do. The PTSD, because I bottled it up. And it wasn't until my family fell apart later that I realized something was wrong. You know what I mean? I think if anything,
Do you mind if I add that in there as far as family falling apart?
I'm an open book, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, that's when I was at my prime. I will tell anybody, and I will tell you that I really was a chief in stripes and a tech sergeant at heart and mind. Because I just like to work and get it done.
Oh, got you. Okay.
I don't like politics. I don't like all this fluffing up bullshit. You know what I mean? And I'm a straight shooter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I didn't do that very well. You know what I mean? It's too tough to balance. Like, well, like one of the things I dealt with, I still can't find it. So while you're in the Air Force, I've never found anywhere in writing where it says protect the boss's signature. And that used to be the dumbest shit I ever heard whenever I was trying to, when you're trying to get something, like you're willing to take a risk and try to get something approved that requires a certain level of approval.
Yeah.
And you have to go through the bureaucratic, fucking bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And you got someone telling you, we really got to protect the boss's signature, which means we got to make sure he's not endorsing and signing anything that, because, there's a ration card of signatures.
Right.
Such bullshit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what I mean. Like, Chief Wright said, fail forward.
Yeah.
He said, work on unfreezing the frozen middle.
Yeah.
And you have our Chief Master in the Air Force saying these things, and you're trying to do it down at the lowest level, and it gets nowhere. It's like I love PME.
Yeah.
But you know what I hate about it?
What?
It doesn't exist when you go back to your squadron.
What do you mean? In
Right.
what
So
aspect?
like I would go to PME and I felt so inspired.
Yeah.
Like, yes, this is the Air Force I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right. And then you go back to your unit and it's like, settle down, Skippy. Back to the real Air Force.
Exactly.
You know, and I experienced that. I did every level of PME. And that listen, my delivery has never changed from the time I got Levito and ALS.
Yeah.
Right. And honestly, I was driven by just wanting to outdo the cop. I did. I was a services guy, and they talk shit about services.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost like, like Chief Wright's dental background, right? Phenomenal Chief Master in the Air Force. So you're already kind of stereotyped. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I would say that the mortuary affairs story is one that always sticks with me that I use all the time.
And what in that story, what do you think some decisions, actions, and behaviors that you embraced that helped the team?
Well, think about it. The first time we did one wasn't the last. And people who broke down the first time potentially had to be exposed to it again.
Yeah.
And you have to instill courage.
Yeah.
And you have to go through the traumatic stress response, in the chaplains each and every time. And even to this day, when, most, I wonder if they'd remember, you would hear over the giant voice, like, attention on the fob, all medical personnel recall. You knew what that meant.
Yeah.
So that trigger response alone puts you in this like, oh my gosh. And then you don't know what you're going to see.
Exactly.
The first mortuary case I did, the guy was going home and he was a gunner and his head was crushed because the Humvee rolled over.
Wow.
Right. And then the last one I did was a young female, and I didn't sign no non-disclosures. Right. So young female, RPG blew out half her body in the Humvee. Imagine that.
Yeah.
And then imagine if it reminded you of your wife.
Yeah. Right.
Or for me, God gave me a son. In that same year, he introduced me to the worst exposure of death in a time where there wasn't FaceTime, there wasn't iMessage, there wasn't email, there was morale phones where if you're lucky, you could make a 15-minute phone call in 3 hours.
Yeah.
Imagine just that self-discipline alone that you put to the back burner. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you what I lacked was self-awareness. That I was fooling myself that it was bothering me. You can't be exposed to that and some shit ain't happening to you. Think about, where you come from. Maybe not necessarily in your story, but tell me gang shootings and deaths.
I've seen it all.
Oh, so guess what?
I've been shot at not because of any activities that I've done, but being at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people.
And maybe that's why rank don't scare you.
It don't.
Because you're
Nothing
like,
scares me.
oh, I promise you,
something will.
when you have a baby,
yeah.
when you have a son or a daughter,
Yeah.
you will truly experience love and insecurity as you do your best to raise that baby.
Most definitely.
And I got 6 of them. I don't know. I had one more late in these days. Anyways, well, because it's fun making them. So,
yeah. Oh yeah, most definitely.
So what else we got, dude? Don't hold back, man.
I still want to dwell on this.
Yeah, okay.
I don't feel like we fully encapsulated everything that I needed.
No,
because I know it's a hard story for you to actually dig deep into, but if this is something that you do want to share,
I absolutely do.
Like, in this situation, was there something that, or a certain airman or somebody that you had to take action with, like to be by their side or?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And so I can remember one case. Oh man, I can't remember if it's Airman Moore. She's actually, we caught up on Facebook. It might have been Airman Moore, but she's pretty tough, right? No, oh my gosh. So we're on Facebook and her name slips my mind. She just broke down. So when you're doing these cases, right, you're also accounting for personal effects. So imagine, well, because sometimes they're still in uniform. There's UXOs, there's grenades, there's bullets. and you have to do an inventory of everything. Serial numbers of dollar bills, right? So imagine like
That's crazy.
I'm handling your case and I'm going through and there's a picture of your newborn baby. And my teammate has a little baby at home.
Right.
What haunts me to this day is the thought that somebody didn't realize that their most precious loved one was dead already.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine that, right? You're sitting there, and like me and you right now, if my son was at war or your loved one was there, and we're just sitting here bullshitting, and they're dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you wonder why I don't want my kids to join? That's another reason why. I do believe whatever is supposed to happen is supposed to happen, but you know, that's just my insecurity, and I don't deflect that, or what's the word? I don't make my kids feel like they shouldn't join.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that I didn't want to work for the man after I got out of the Air Force, and I worked for the man after I got out of the Air Force, and I don't want my kids to work for the man. I want them to start their own business. So yeah, imagine you being a leader in that environment.
After I get my answers, I have a question for you.
Okay.
But go ahead.
So imagine that. Imagine you're my subordinate, and you and your wife, you and your girl were husband and wife, and you just had a kid, and you're going through this, right? So what do I do? You're breaking down. What amount of security, one, how do I get you through that? Mm-hmm. And then how do I inspire you to come back and expose yourself to that again? And oh, by the way, rockets are also hitting the camp.
What base was this?
This was when I was in Kirkuk.
Okay.
So yeah, I had a subordinate. I had a large team. It's on Facebook, like my mortuary team I was with.
Uh-huh.
And it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of trust. And that was the first time I never wore the rank. We were a team. Rank didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
What mattered is we got through it together, and we made it out okay.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you this. If you're having to default to rank, you've already failed.
And that's what I was going back to saying, as far as like, I probably didn't articulate it well, but when people say they are the leader, that's where I kind of lose trust in them. When they say, well, I'm the master sergeant here.
Yeah, that's a fallacy. Yeah. That's okay. I understand why you would think that.
Yeah.
Because even leaders who really are leaders, sometimes they go through patches of insecurity where people haven't made them feel like they've led anything. Yeah. And most leaders influence and don't know they've influenced.
Yeah.
And even we need a sanity check, right? Like, let's say you're lifting weights and you're not getting big, right? At some point in time, like, you might be. There's a thing called dysmorphia. You don't realize you're getting bigger.
Right.
Right? And what do you need? You know what I mean? You're out there with your family. You're like, yeah, I'm up in the gym getting swole.
Yeah.
You know, why do you got to advertise that? Right? So, but I absolutely, but I do understand though. I wouldn't write someone off because they say, hey, I'm the leader. I'd write them off if they don't have leadership traits in their actions.
Right.
Because the best, honestly, the real leaders in the Air Force don't know they're the leaders. And that's all the people who get the shit done because they're the most informal leader. Because remember, like, we're not on Facebook together, but I have a group called Leader-ish, like Dr. Evil. I don't think there's leadership no more. I think there's leader-ish. Because leadership has been so diluted by so much perspective. I mean, even me, I'm sitting here talking, this is leadership based on my lens.
Exactly.
Based on my experiences. There's an audience for it, there's not. But what you won't hear from me is 90% of the time quoting, well, Simon Sinek said, know your why. Yeah. Right?
Right.
Come up with your own shit. But also, there's a leader out there, and he's been getting a lot of name. I shouldn't name him no more. He's getting too much street cred from me. So Joe Bogdan, Chief Bogdan replaced me as a social worker in the Air Force. I was AFRC. He replaced me.
Okay.
Super, super, super enthusiastic guy.
Okay.
Super enthusiastic.
Yeah.
So enthusiastic. I said, I finally had the courage to finally say, I like 90% of your message, but I think this is bullshit. And I said, you are grossly over enthusiastic. It creates a misperception. And we had a dialogue back and forth, because I would have been okay if he said, you are grossly over negative. Right? But then when I thought about it, and he was crucial. He was crucial in how I pivoted, because I had to really pull back the layers. Once I had the courage to get the unsaid said,
Yeah.
I realized what was really bothering me is that I just wished I could see life from that lens.
Yeah.
I'm envious, jealous, I don't know, but I changed.
Yeah.
And
From that conversation?
some of it was an accumulation of everything, but I always respected his perspective, right? He does a llama lifelong llama leadership. He's gonna be like, dude, you ain't getting my shit right. But I've grown to admire the way he is emotionally intelligent and how he communicates. When I'm being pessimistic, I should learn to communicate that in a way that is not broad.
By you just saying, I feel this way, I just don't understand how you come like how you doing that.
But I can't though.
Yeah.
I am who I am. It's like you said, I'm not going to change.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop saying the F-bomb.
Right.
I'm not going to stop saying things that bothered me as a chief. And it doesn't mean I'm 100% right, but I'm not an idiot either.
Right.
Right. And maybe some people can give me the answers, but what I couldn't do is I couldn't accept that's just how it is.
Most definitely.
I just couldn't. And I would rather leave than feel like I was losing myself. I did a podcast talking about my PTSD and my authentic self and where I lost it. I was like, I lost my authentic self trying to evolve into this new style of, I don't know what you want to, like, I don't know. I think it's all crap, but I mean, like, no, it's not all crap. Get out. We used to be told as a leader, get out from behind your desk.
I agree.
I see more leadership bullshit on Facebook, right? But it doesn't mean it's wrong.
Right.
It just means that's just what I see. So I don't know. So anyways, yeah. So what else? What else did I miss on this one?
I mean, I think we're narrowing it down. I think you said it already, but I'm gonna ask it again. Like, decisions that you made in this particular instance, and you can even go back to the.
Do I regret them?
No, just decisions that you made to make this a positive.
Had nothing to do with anything the Air Force taught me. Had to do with life.
Okay.
And the way I was raised. And the way I care about people. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I can make it make sense in my paper.
When you're dealing with death, I don't give a shit what paragraph of the enlisted force structure talks about I'm a technical expert and RoboCop. No, now's not the time. It's not the time to pull rank.
Right. Oh no.
You know what I mean?
That's where you get cussed out.
You know what I mean? The time is to default to instinctively what is right. And guess what? Everybody wasn't raised the right way. You know that.
Right. Oh yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, but I think that's subjective as well. Like, what's right?
So
what's right?
True statement.
You know. Okay. So, and this is probably the last one, right?
All right.
What level of professionalism did you have to embody using the profession of arms in this situation?
Again, I think I did, but not based on how they put it in technical terms. The profession of arms is about being professional, but not necessarily because I'm wearing a suit. It's about doing what's right. You know what I mean? Ain't no one in there talking about don't use the F word. You know what I mean? Nobody in there talking about, you know what I mean, maintain your bearing, don't cry. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's the profession of arms. Where does it talk about? Like, here's the book definition, right?
Please.
Right, here's the book definition. A distinct professional subculture with a body of theory and specialized knowledge, service to the community and nation, and how these all combine to defend freedom, pursue peace, and protect America and its interests.
I think you did all that though.
We did, but not based on that, right? You know what I mean?
Not?
Like, what I'm saying is we absolutely did. We did that.
Right.
But what I mean is in that particular incident, the profession of arms was kind of a fourth order effect.
Got you. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we supported it, but at the time it was about, we have to get this done. And how do we get it done with emotions and death? And dude, when you're talking about death in the military and congressional complaints,
Yeah.
whether the honor guard messes up or that, you can't mess that stuff up. Those are like zero error stuff. Zero error.
Yeah.
And you're also taking it from here to here to here to here before it goes to the port mortuary, right? So, didn't give a shit about the profession of arms. I cared about my people. And in the back of my mind, I wondered how the parents or family was going to respond. And we got to get, and that's what we'd use. And that's what I would tell them. I would say, do you understand what you did today? While it may have hurt your soul, it may have hit home. You got someone's loved one home.
Yeah.
And it was game on. Did they get emotional sometimes? Sure. But they were back each and every time, and they got stronger and stronger and better and better.
So I guess I can answer the question for you. You did answer the question.
No, answer it for me.
The decision you made, right? Not the question about profession of arms, but the decision you made was to stay positive, keep your head in the game, make sure that what I'm doing can be shown later on to the families that meant something to this person.
Yeah, and I cared about my people more than myself.
Exactly, and in doing that, it reflected onto your people. And you
Yeah,
got
I
the job
hope.
done.
I hope. Yeah, I'm sure it did. We all got home alive,
Most definitely.
and they're friends on Facebook with me. So
Exactly.
I don't know if that means anything anymore.
Yeah.
Friends, right? So
They're like, all
anyways.
right, let me just go ahead and press this button so I don't hear no one
All
later.
right, brother.
Yeah.
One more. You said you had a question for me. So let me ask you this. Did I get that? Can you believe we've been on for 2 hours almost?
I can't.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I
Yeah.
can't.
Like I'm getting
wow.
I'm getting the message from my wife, like
Let's go.
WTF. So did I hit the mark on that?
Yes. And if I have questions, I have your number, so we can go ahead.
Okay, cool. No, I want to know the last question.
This has nothing. I'm close.
No, cool.
I'm done with this. So you were saying that you don't want your kids to join, right? Do you feel like this country that we live in is worth dying for?
Of course.
Okay. And why?
Because we're the best country in the world, regardless of what you see and what the media spits out. I have more in common with people that are politically opposite than me than they realize, because I don't talk about my political affiliation. And I think in a world of social media and media, if you really want to buy in that one person, regardless of where they sit, influences what the fuck happens on the ground level, you're a fool.
Right.
You influence who you love. You influence who you want to associate with. And my political affiliation don't make me a racist. It don't make you a pedophile. It don't, all this old absolutes. Let me say something. The biggest failure you can make as a leader is thinking absolutes. And people that I know that know this shit speak in absolutes.
Exactly.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because they talk from the safety of their keyboard. And I still love them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, I just can't handle reading it because I'm tempted to respond.
Yeah.
And I don't got that energy. I'm going to tell you the sad thing about my PTSD. I've realized I don't know how to navigate in peace. If I find myself in a place of comfort and peace, I will seek conflict. I will seek conflict, whether it's on stock twits.
You're not comfortable with it.
I thrive in conflict.
Yeah.
I don't thrive in peace. I'm a warrior. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's you want to take a warrior ethos. That's the beauty of it. The downside, the flip side is most of us don't know how to turn it off, and I'm still trying to. So that's why you see my old ass in the gym.
Yeah.
You could be like, Chief, you ain't Kevin, bro. I don't even think you ever really call me Chief. You're like, damn, you ain't even got to worry about PT testing. You know what I mean? You ain't got to worry about it. Why are you still up in the morning? Because it's a work ethic,
Yeah.
right?
And I do see you be getting it in. It's not like you just there.
Yeah,
Like
I think I tore my pec, right?
Oh, man.
And so it sucks. I can only rep 225 like 20 times now. You know what I mean? I can't even get to 300 no more.
did you hear that flex?
No. It's not a flex. Like there's a guy named Benny
225, just 20 times. That's
Benny Smith. I'm gonna show you a video of this guy that he's in the Air Force. The closest thing I know to superhuman. I mean, this guy is like 500s, like nothing benching.
bench.
He just did like 6 or 7 reps of 465 the other day with no spot, like no big deal. Anyways, I gave him a shout out at another podcast that God knows what happened to it 3 months ago. So Benny, if you're watching, here's the makeup. Shout out to you.
sir.
And he loves his wife and his family.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's another thing I admire about this guy, and I've never personally met him. We met through a weightlifting group, and it's funny, we were both at Langley together. So I probably saw him, and I probably sized him up, which is a good thing. I didn't call him out because he is leaps and bounds stronger than me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I if they want to serve, I'll support them, but I don't want them to. I want them to do something else. I also believe in generational wealth.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad served, and I served, and I didn't make the best decisions.
Right.
And if there's an opportunity for them to branch out and do something else, that's what I want them to do.
Most definitely. I mean, I love it.
You will do fine, dude. You keep your head straight. Always gravitate to people who grow you. All right?
I think I have a problem with being okay with where I am. Not saying that I'm always trying to push forward,
Yeah.
but at the same time, what I hear from others, I don't see in myself.
Okay.
Like I've heard plenty of amazing things, and I'm like, where did you even get that from?
Yeah.
Like,
And they just
how
see
did
it in
how
you.
did I show you that?
Because you have a personality,
I do,
right? So I see you in the gym, you talk, you're approachable.
most definitely.
You're already 60% ahead of the game. There's people out there who do not know how to have conversations face to face because they grew up in a world of this.
Most definitely.
Good. Well, the text just popped up, so my wife's not mad at me. She's a phenomenal woman.
Oh,
I love you, Lynn.
lovely.
And our anniversary is on the 27th.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
You guys have a nice, you got a favorite bottle of wine that you guys both like?
she drinks wine, and she has a ton of it. I hate wine.
What?
I'll drink Boone's Farm or
No.
any Kool-Aid Moscato, which wine drinkers are like,
Okay.
that's not wine.
I mean, I said Boone's Farm.
Believe it or not, if I buy a 6-pack of beer, it'll be in my fridge a year later. I really don't even like to drink.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just not a big drinker. I will drink though socially. Like if you said, "Hey, Kev, like don't make me drink alone,"
Yeah.
I wouldn't have grabbed a beer. But lately, I've been feeling extra thick.
Gotcha.
I hit a 2-month hiatus of going off of my very not clean, just very disciplined. Like so, when I say disciplined for me, it means I'm not gonna have abs, but I'm not gonna blow up.
Yeah.
And I just kind of slid off of that. And one day turned into 2 days, turned into weeks, turned into months. And
how it is.
when my wife was like, I was going to a leadership thing because I'm a Leadership Las Vegas alumni
Okay.
in Las Vegas, the first chief ever to be in it. And I'm proud of that.
Is this something that's military affiliated or just?
No, it's the chamber.
Okay.
It's out in the city, right? So I can tell you more about it later.
Okay.
Well, we had to go to a meeting, and I was like, oh, my God. If I'm scared to put my clothes on, then that's a bad thing. And I'm always disappointed in myself in the winter. So this is a peek behind the curtain. Every winter, I'm disappointed in my physique because the winter time, the most flyest clothes come out. You know what I mean? And to think I can't wear like a trench coat and present myself like this. And I'm like, man, here you go, another year. COVID, I was like, we can't do shit anyway, so no big deal.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm on like day 4. I haven't had no sugar. I've been drinking a lot of water.
Yeah.
Honestly, my consumption per meal went from here to like this.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're starving yourself? I know it
No,
becomes a discipline
if
thing, but-
in my mind, if I really say this, then I'm going to do it. I know on Thanksgiving, I'm going to go ham.
As you should.
Right. And yeah. So, dude, I say we got to wrap it up, man.
That's good. No, that's cool. That's cool.
I don't know, really been on an hour and 40 minutes. But I absolutely like, so let me ask you this before we wrap it up,
Yes.
right? Was that all you had for me?
Yes.
That's all the questions you had for me, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. And so besides the D's nuts stuff, right? Let me tell you something. You do what less than 1% do, right? You serve our country. And I just put this on Veterans Day, right? And I said, if everybody could do it, everybody still wouldn't. So one, thank you.
Okay.
Two, you're a man with grace.
Yes, sir.
Right. And I've always enjoyed every interaction with you. I appreciate the fact that you will actually have a conversation with me.
Oh, yeah.
Trust me, I'm telling you, there's folks that who know that I'm a chief, and they'll just like, I'm like, come say hi.
Yeah.
I'm not a monster.
Yeah.
And most times they realize they're like, oh my gosh, you're like really a teddy bear. And I am. I love people like you love people.
Yes, sir.
If you want to experiment or do something further, by all means, let me know. You only live 8 minutes away.
Yes, sir. I'm right down the street.
But if you could share anything with the audience that they probably learned more, I don't know, it's probably 50-50. If there was something you wanted to share with the audience, and you don't got to nail it down just to airmen. It could be airmen, it could be husbands, it could be wives. You just came back from a deployment, right? And that's the episode really one day we should talk about, but let's not. But if there's something inspiring you wanted to share about your life and where you came from, being your authentic self, what you're learning now. Well, I mean, the mic is yours, my friend.
Got you. And I know this probably sounds very cliche, but I would say be love. Be love. Like, let that come through your pores. And me personally, I feel like that's gotten me through a lot. Personally, I've been through a journey in life. Not saying that I'm old at all, but I've witnessed a lot, you know. So I had to do a lot of self-reflecting and try to understand what life is to me. And through that, I learned a lot about love, and I learned that love does lead you down every right path that you need to go down. You know, like every right path. You might feel like you're wrong about it at first, but it leads you exactly where you need to be. So that's it, man. Just be love, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So guess who I think encapsulate that more than anybody?
I do not know.
You don't want to know who?
I do. I would love to know who. Yeah.
Who?
These nuts. Got him. Got him.
How did I fall for it again?
So.
Whoa.
I'm over here thinking you about to like dig deep with me.
Brother, man.
I fell for it again.
No, listen, man.
Yeah.
You're incredible, man.
Yes, sir.
And I hope this isn't the last time you join me.
Oh my God, I'm ready for another one.
Are you?
Yes, sir.
So we'll make it happen. And next time, bring the missus.
I'll
right?
try.
You know, even if you two just sit here and bullshit a little bit, right?
She's quiet. She's to herself. So
okay,
we trying to blossom her a little bit.
I have a wife in there.
Yes, sir.
So there's a wife in there, right?
Yeah.
So listen, guys, like I think this was awesome. We went in an hour and 43 minutes, right? And I just want to say I love what you said about love. I lead with love.
Yes, sir.
And I think when you have love, you have passion.
Yes, sir.
And I think if you go back to anything you talked about, and when you lead with passion, it's easily misinterpreted as something other than passion, depending on the lenses and depending on the baggage anybody who joins brings with them.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to be consistent and reaffirm and let them know that's not what it's about. But I understand why you thought that was that way.
Exactly.
And before
understanding.
Yeah, and before they absolutely disagree, tell them Chick-fil-A makes the best chicken sandwich. Right. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Ron.
Yeah.
Aaron.
I'm here in the flesh.
Love you, man. Thanks
Yes,
for coming,
sir.
brother.
Yes, sir.
Bye.